Have you guys seen that ad that's going around with the whole "Yes, the boys"? No? Oh well. Yes, the boys. We've got some more Tau here. We've actually got, well, right here, we've got Odo Malas from Vagrant Table. He's been at it again. He likes to both be the Tau and bully the Tau, but we've got some Viola. XV8 Crisis Commander. And his Pathfinder. Scoliosis buddies. Any of you guys got scoliosis? I hope it's not too arduous to contend with. Then we've got the Fire Warriors who don't have scoliosis. They've got firm. Well, they're not fully upright backs. I mean, they've just got a weird posture. There we go. Looking a bit more upright now. Fire Warriors. Tau. It's the Tau, and we're on Seraph Palace. So we've got a fair amount of uncrushable green cover around here, which, honestly, really advantages the Tau, given that they can take advantage of the cover in firefights, and then the Fire Warriors can ignore it when the enemy attempts to. So, lots of cover helps Tau. But then again, if you have no cover on a map, it also might help Tau, because they just love to shoot things. But yeah, I guess the irony is that Tau actually, in spite of being a primary ranged faction, they actually like a lot of cover being around so that they can shoot through it, since that is a pretty unique aspect for them. But yeah, Strike Squad coming out here from Vagrant, and that's obviously going to be a bit of a problem. Heavy infantry right now. Going to shrug off the piercing shots from these Fire Warriors very easily. I mean, they're just so tanky. Tankiest sort of starting wreck-only unit in the game, and then heavy infantry on top of that could be problematic. But Toilailee has actually not gone for a very large opening build at all. Only one Pathfinder, one Fire Warrior. Very rare you see this, but the consequence is he's going to be able to get his Kroot Carnivores out a little bit quicker. And that is going to be problematic for the Strike Squad, because Kroot Carnivores, as it says right there in the tooltip, power melee infantry, who also heal the entire squad every time they kill a model. And that aspect, not so relevant in this matchup, but yeah, the power melee DPS of these guys, it is approximately 126 power melee DPS across these 6 boys, or birds. Birds are gendered. Right? Pretty sure birds are gendered. Yeah, these boys, 126 power melee DPS, that's going to be really brutal for the Strike Squad. And in fact, you know what? It is such a bad matchup because Strike Squad are notorious for having particularly powerful special attacks. Well, Kroot don't have any special attacks, but to compensate for that, because if they had special attacks, they would absolutely dominate high model squads. So, to compensate for that, they have 71 melee skill, which means they themselves cannot be specialed. So they're doing 126 power melee damage, and they're immune to special attacks. The poor Strike Squad will cry. The Strike Squad, of course, should use their Stormbolters at range and shoot down these light infantry. And Toilailee is being an abusive little swine and going for double Kroot, which is going to be very effective. We've got Interceptors here from Vagrant. I don't really know why, given that he's seen that there's already one Kroot on the field, and I'm sure when he sees the second Kroot, he's going to really be regretting this choice. Now, of course, they will counter the Fire Warriors very well, but to be honest, Fire Warriors are not the problem right now. He's literally going to get rammed down in melee by a bunch of Kroot at this rate, and in fact, we even see some support there from the Kroot coming out of the form, well, coming in the form, coming out of the XV8 Crisis Commander in the form of the armoured battlesuit here. So you can see it's his sort of tanky, brawling armour, 150 max HP and 1.5 HP regen per second, but perhaps most important of all, it makes his mini jump actually do knockback in an AoE 7 around the landing. And that means, obviously, it's an on-demand CC tool to use with these Kroot. This is terrifying. This is absolutely terrifying to see as an OM player. This blob of 12 Kroot with their 21 power melee DPS, and then this guy being able to CC them. But that is why Vagrant has gone for the Purgation. He doesn't want to fight him in melee. I wonder, I was going to say, what are we going to see on the Aversa Assassin? I would have gone for Chem Nades, is what I would have gone for. And this is the problem, you can't you can actually suppress the XV8, but I guess, yeah, he just jumped into them. Watch how fast these die. Oh, there goes a model. There goes a model. For the record, guys, I do think Odo Malas is the worst faction against Tau, at the moment, literally. So if any of you guys always hated Odo Malas in the Elite Mod, get on the beta and go stomp him with double Kroot from Tau. It is tricky, but yeah, I think Chemnase would have been a lot more successful. He's trying to fight them here with a kill zone buff from the Aversa, and he's getting some good Overwatch damage in. Yeah, the last gun's going to be nice against light infantry. Kroot have a lot of models at 6 each, so the flame is quite strong as well. But yeah, Chemnase would have been really nice. I think the Kroot there were focusing more on the gens than the fighting, were they? I don't know. It's surprising that these strike squad have so much HP. And yeah, we see the Flamer picked up here. Not a bad photon nade, does slow down the strike squad, but didn't catch the Aversa, who... He got... Ooh, with the jump as well. Can they get the kill? This is the advantage of the interceptors. Come on, Stormbolters. Come on, are you kidding me? 1 HP? So lucky, wow. Very lucky. Literally, one more bolter in the back there, and that would have been a dropped Crisis. And, you know... That would have been quite brutal because it's a lot of investment on this Crisis. So this armoured battlesuit is 30 power, and then the Flamer is 25 power. It's a much weaker Flamer than normal, but of course the advantage is that it's on his other arm, so he still retains his 35 DPS burst cannon on the other arm as well. So very scary. Nice combo. Going for a bit of disruption here with the Interceptors. I would imagine that they need to retreat relatively quickly. They are going to get ripped to pieces in melee. What is he doing? I don't know why the other Kroot retreated when they did. What the hell? Why is he retreating the Kroot? He didn't even get a model. Toil. Scared about bleeding, I guess. I mean, Kroot bleed power, but it's interesting. Now, he went for double Thrill of the Hunt upgrades, which I'm not sure that this is... Well, it's not worth it at the moment because it's bugged and the Kroot booby traps do friendly fire, which they're not meant to. But mostly this is used if you have a setup team or a heavy Fire Warrior line to give you some quill traps which snare enemies when they explode and do a little bit of AoE damage. So you plant them around your broadside, your Fire Warriors, your heavy drone squadrons, and then snare the enemies when they try to melee them, and then you pursue your snared enemies with your Kroot. But they're doing friendly fire, so it's not very useful. There's a good chance they will snare your own setup team or your own Kroot, which is, yeah, completely unhelpful. But there you go. With all this investment, Toilailee is a little bit behind in the tech race. A good 60 power, actually. Not even that little. You see here, default damage here from the burst cannon. Pretty damn strong. As I say, it's about the same DPS as the Tech Marine. Definitely substantial. I mean, this hero is objectively better than the Tech Marine out of the base. It's the same damage, but 70 more HP and that mini jump on top of it. It's pretty nice, really. Just going to say, he can't engage there. These Kroot will mess him up. So the other cool thing about Kroot, they infiltrate when they've become static for a while, which can be very useful when you've got a big firing line, because you can use them essentially up front to spot. The enemy obviously doesn't know they're there, so they can't shoot them. And then you can exploit the higher range of some of the Tau units. But also, of course, on the sidelines, it can set up ambushes against a squad that goes to cap and then walks right into them. So a bold teleport from the Interceptors there. Kroot are around, but they're a little bit dubious in terms of positioning here. The Purgs aren't moved in to fight it because they're getting dealt with by the other ones, so the Interceptors are going to retreat to them, get a bit of disruption, but there comes the knockback from the XV8. And that is going to be goodbye. And there you go. Ooh, some Medi-drones coming down. That's nice because he's not actually lost any models here. Let's see how well this heal does. Not bad, is it? Wow. Okay. Yeah, with the higher models on the Kroot, the extra HP regen from the drones is very nice. Wow. Keeps them in play, nearly back up to full HP. That's good. Yeah, nice synergy with the Kroot. I felt, and I've noted actually on one of the documents, that those Medi-drones don't seem that effective with Fire Warriors or Pathfinders. But yeah, with Kroot having more models, the HP regen bonus is very strong indeed. Nice, and they're now infiltrating, and of course, OM require... Oh, this is going to be scary. OM require operatives to detect. So they've got a bit of a problem with detection. Oh shit. There's a Grey Knight Dreadnought. Okay. So we do have double Kroot Shapers now on this Kroot. And they do 50 DPS power melee, these guys. So, oh, the Interceptors are going to be in trouble. I don't even think they've got the Justicar. No, they don't. They're going to melt. Yeah. Okay, wow. So lucky. Are they going to get out without losing a model? My god, they do. I mean, they're going to be in base healing for a bit, but I'm very shocked. Because this is like crazy power melee DPS now. You're talking 170 power melee DPS, essentially. I mean, what is it? Specifically like 167. Something outrageous. No, more. It's 170 something. It's so much. So much power melee DPS with double of them. But hey, that's why there is a Grey Knight Dreadnought on the field now. It's Hurricane Bolter. Pathfinder's doing a bit of kiting. Looks like a broadside battlesuit is going to be the choice of Toilailee. Broadside battlesuit, pretty good choice. Oh, pulse rifles here, so these are doing inferno damage now. Let's just see how these perform. A lot more damage against the heavy infantry now. This is where the Fire Warriors get their revenge. All the pulse carbine shots bouncing off the strike squad so far. And then they pick up those pulse rifles and they can actually put a chink in the armour, but a little bit of an overextension here from the strike squad. They did get the one model off the Fire Warriors, but they're taking a lot of damage. Oh my god. All of them died but the Justicar that was recently purchased. Holy shit. That was the DPS I was looking for on those Interceptors. There you go. What was I saying before? I keep getting distracted by things that are happening. Broadside battlesuit, is it a good choice? Well, probably, to be honest. Odo Malas surprisingly don't have that much power melee. They've got a lot of melee, but only normal melee, and this guy's super heavy infantry, so normal melee does a lot less damage to him. It has... well, all of its weapons do anti-all, essentially. The railguns in particular do nice chunks to vehicles, but even the little smart missile systems on its hands do autocannon splash damage, and that will do something to the Grey Knight Dreadnought. But perhaps most important of all, he has double Kroot, so he can protect this thing from melee. Not from a Grey Knight Dreadnought melee, though. But that's perhaps why he also has the stealth battlesuits now, Toilailee. These guys can get their fusion blasters, which are melter guns, and one of the biggest disadvantages of the fusion blasters is they're very short range. So if you... it's kind of like Metal Stormtroopers with the IG. If you don't actually get the vehicle kill on your first attack, when they don't know they're coming from infiltration or jump, the enemy quite often will notice what you're doing and they'll simply just flee. And you'll never catch their vehicle because of it, because unlike IG Stormtroopers, these guys don't even have a melter bomb. I mean, they can jump, so... So, the whole point of that is that these things are not particularly good against transports, but against the slower-moving walkers, they can be quite good. Particularly if those walkers want to advance in melee to tie up a broadside battlesuit. That's when these guys can pop out from infiltration, hit a marker light on the enemy vehicle, and get a lot of damage done. Now, it looks like the broadside unfortunately had to reset up there, which was a little bit unfortunate. There you go, Railgun just snagging a Purgation model. And going to try and focus fire. No, not focus firing on the Grey Knight Dreadnought. Just doing a bit of smart missile shooting. Railgun was going after the Aversa Assassin of all things there. But yeah, he's going to tie up the Dreadnought as... the Dreadnought is going to tie up the broadside as we expected. So the stealth suits are going to appear to try and help support it. Very nice. He could also get the Fusion Blaster on the XV8, but instead he's gone for the Plasma Rifle, which makes a lot of sense. We'll see the DPS against the Grey Knight units there. No Marker Light Global from Toilailee. He would have the red for it, but obviously new factions and that, people forget the mechanics. But of course, Interceptors jumping on the stealth suits, so what do? They themselves jump away, which I really love this interaction. You see this a lot in the late game with Tau because they get so many jumping units in the late game. Enemies will just be jumping in to tie them up, and Tower just jumping away, and the enemy will drop artillery, and Tower jumping away, just dodging all the attacks. And here the Dreadnought is in a terrible position. Look at the range on this broadside battlesuit. Gone for the full melee build here on the Dreadnought, which obviously is effective against the Kroot, but leaves you so vulnerable to the Fusion Blasters, and this is actually a fantastic showcasing of the power of Fusion Blasters. I've seen it a million times so far. So many people misplaying these and chasing tanks and transports with them, which they are simply not good enough against. I mean, it's kind of like chasing a tank with one infantry squad in Company of Heroes 2. It's just an ill-advised idea. You're gonna bleed, and you're not actually gonna kill it if you don't hit it with a snare first, and that's what people are doing. But against these melee walkers, these guys are amazing. The actual DPS is not bad at all. It's just the short range that is the issue. Of course, melee walkers, they got to come into melee. So yeah, there is a natural synergy here, guys, between the fusion blasters and the broadside. The broadside encourages the foe to go for a melee vehicle and really get in your face, and then you can use the fusion blasters to counter-initiate the melee vehicles. Has Vagrant forgot about these? Nope. Okay. But yeah, Vagrant looking a little bit thin now. I don't really know exactly what he can do. There's even going to be a great Narlock coming out. I mean, this is just getting a little bit silly. There is a nice combination as well with the broadside into the greater Narlock, because the broadside is super heavy infantry, so he encourages things like plasma guns in order to counter him from your enemy. But then you get the Narlock, who is a vehicle, and they can't get the missile launcher now, because if they do, they're losing the plasma that they got to kill the broadsides. So it's, you know, it's a very different spec. You know, maybe he sees the broadside and he goes for power melee purifiers, because they've all got power swords. And then you buy a Narlock, and it's like, oh, yes, my power swords are not going to be particularly effective anymore. Whoops. And here you go, seeing the plasma rifle right now, doing its damage when it hits. There you go, there you go. Boom, boom, boom. And of course, the cool thing with the XV8 is he gets to retain his flamer as well. But Toil doesn't need the flamer anymore at this point. He did his little gem bash, and there's only tanky Grey Knight, so he's actually swapping to the burst cannon in tier 2, which swaps his flamer out. So he'd have another burst cannon, which is the same weapon as his default weapon, albeit slightly nerfed for the sidearm version. And he'd also have the plasma rifle, so he'd be doing 35 DPS plasma and an extra 21 DPS piercing with his other harm. Isn't that awesome? And on the site of the Narlock there, with no real potential to get AV, he throws in the towel, does Vagrant. But yeah, I really liked that game, actually. Not the closest game, of course, but it was a really good showcasing of Tau. And I think a lot of times people have been saying Tau are underpowered, but I think you kind of expect that, really, from a designer perspective. When you release a new race, you kind of want people saying it's underpowered, because, of course, they don't know how the fuck to play it. They don't know all the little tricks and tools and compositions. That's why they're buying stealth suits with fusion blasters as their only AV in tier 2 and chasing around transports, and stealth suits are getting shot to pieces. And then they're like, oh my god, I can't even kill transport, no transitional AV, Tau suck. But this was a brilliant showcasing with the broadsides. Bait the enemy into going for melee units. You've got double Kroot to counter-initiate them. I don't know where the other Kroot even died. But you've got double Kroot to counter-initiate and deal with the infantry melee, so then they want to go for a melee vehicle. Well, then your fusion blaster stealth suits can be there. Short range fusion blasters, 19.76 metal DPS each, so 3 of them 60 DPS metal. You're doing 30 DPS to vehicles right there. That's quite a lot to vehicles. And then you top it off with a greater Narlock. I mean, the cool thing about this is there's a nice 1-2-3 synergy there on the roster. Win the ranged fight, force the enemy to go for melee vehicles, counter-initiate the melee vehicles, kill them, then go for a vehicle yourself, whether you go for the Devilfish or the Great Narlock. They obviously, you know, they're getting anti-heavy infantry and they're getting anti-super heavy infantry. So then you finish it with a vehicle, your third, whether you go for the Devilfish or the Narlock, your third unit in tier 2. You've basically covered the entire tier 2 roster of the Tau there, but you've got exactly what you need to. You've got a wonderful 1-2-3 punch, and then you can go into tier 3. So yeah, cool to see. Nice. Lots of war gear purchases and utility from the Crisis Commander as well. Love it. And even got to see the Kroot kicking some ass. I'll probably showcase another game at some point. I don't know when. I need to find the opponents, but I'll showcase what I think is the best thing to do from the perspective of Odo Malas, because as I say, I do think this is the hardest matchup to fight Tau with. I think Odo Malas are the weakest faction to fight them with. And I'll probably go on about that if I cast a game where I'm playing OM and actually trying to beat Tau. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that one, folks. Cool to show off some new strategies. And there'll be plenty more Tau coming. That is going to be all from your boy Torpid this time. I am signing out.